team took JDG to 5 games in back-to-back series. I think easily could have won either of those series.
I agree.
And they are, to me, a top 3 team. They're one of the favorites to win the whole thing.
Second best LPL team. They might get 3rd seed because of points. But again, I was saying this yesterday. People are widely regarding this as the team under JDG. And of course, as you mentioned, under Genji in that regard as well. But as we get into pick and ban, LNG here on the red side, I think there's a couple of things we need to highlight. Yesterday, Scouts Azir, massive 11-0 and 7. A nutty performance. Tarzan on the Jarvan syncing up for the mid-jungle duo. Great engage option. There's a couple of priorities that I feel like Cloud9 have to do, and at least Gala off Azaya seems to be one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. The Taliyah going to get banned away as well. Blabber brought that out yesterday. Really did look good on it. Was way ahead of the pace of the game as far as his farming was concerned. Had some great team fights as well. And I'm just so interested to see how Cloud9 will look, because Blabber talked about it in his interview. They've talked about it publicly some. The fact that they are really more confident against these LPL teams based on scrims, because they were getting rammed by the LCK teams. They were getting crushed by them, but they were doing pretty well against some of these LPL squads. So I think they're relatively happy with this matchup. But that being said, Scrimbucks did not really end up meaning anything yesterday, where LPL went 4-0. The LCK dropped 2 series when those were a lot of teams that people were telling you are just obliterating everyone in the scrims.
Yeah, it's not to be misread again. Scrims deceiving us as always. As quick note, the takeaway of the Kai'Sa from Gala, a nice little touch. Gala's best champion by far is his pentakill champion. Something we didn't get to see yesterday, but something that was the only option outside the Xayah. Lee Sin for Tarzan though. When you think historically, Azal, you've been at Worlds many, many years. I mean, this guy, when he was on Griffin, this was his champion. Tarzan's Lee Sin is a classic for me too.
Easily one of the best in the world on the champion. This guy is incredible. But to me, this is just screaming Poppy. Poppy's not banned. You have Alistar, Lee Sin, Poppy, Poppy, Poppy. I really think is the pick here. You can go for Rakan for the engage, but Jungle Poppy to me is so strong right now. I even think Poppy top has some decent matchups. I do think it's more situational, but it can be a flex. I would be a little bit surprised if they don't go for the angle, especially because I think a lot of the other champions that LNG does like to play are going to be denied by Poppy as well. When I think of a lot of Zika's favorite champions, things like Jax and along those lines, that's something that can also be answered and denied by that Poppy. So you can also apply Plasma, of course, with the CC for that Kai'Sa. It helps to set up for that as well. But Sejuani is going to be the angle here. So instead, favoring more for that engage. And I think it's also going to be setting up for potential melee solo laners. We saw the Cassante flex towards mid for M&S yesterday. There's a lot of melee top laners that are really meta right now. So I do think they're kind of trading off some of that utility for potential stronger 2v2s through mid and top, which I think is a fair trade to make, especially after we saw Scout just completely run the game yesterday.
Oh yeah, on this pick.
I do just think that this draft was just screaming Poppy out to me, man.
I agree. I completely agree. And considering that now the option is, if you want to take it away from a top option here, as you said, Zika on Jax is a very real threat.
Yeah.
The other thing that scares me too is the fact that Scout will remain unchecked to slide and glide in Emperor's Divide. He's on his ear once again, and with a Yone banned away, maybe LNG don't pay respect. Maybe they take it away for themselves. Zika is flexible. The thing people don't know about this top laner of the LPL, he's like a combination of 369 and Bin. Bin plays carries and Cassante. 369 plays tanks. Zika can play them all. I think he's the most flexible top laner, or at least one in the world.
And to me, this is one of the guys that I think is the most under the radar for international fans. He's not a big name compared to, Bin and 369 and guys along those lines, but you will see throughout this tournament just how good Zika is. I do think he belongs up with those massive names, with the Shy, with all those guys that are coming from the LPL that may be more famous to the international audience. He is incredibly flexible. You said it. His Jax is amazing. His Cassante is great. He can play Sion. He can play Gwen. He can play really it all. And I think it makes it so difficult to prepare for someone like this, especially with the expectation that he's getting 5th pick counter pick on red side. How are you going to play around it?
Well, definitely not with a Poppy. C9 ban it away instead themselves, thinking that's going to come on red side 4 for LNG, while it is those very explosive mid lane champions for M&S in the Silas and the Yone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's interesting, right? Because that would mean they're expecting that Zika would be willing to play that Poppy top as a potential blind if he was going to go it on 4. But they're going to ban out the Cassante. It almost feels like you're kind of asking for the Jax, which makes me wonder, what does Fudge have in store for that? Because to me, when I think of Zika, I don't know if you agree, but I think of Jax as his best champion.
I do, yeah.
I'm really, really impressed. Watching the regular season, watching playoffs, that is what I associated with this guy. So the bans were catering to that, right? So is it just going to be a Renekton versus Jax and Fudge just kind of wants to go for that skill matchup? I'm not the biggest fan of this. I do think it can work well because you have that Sejuani pairing. So maybe this was their plan the whole way through, is really just playing heavily around this. But it does put so much pressure on both Fudge and Blabber to be able to create that advantage, to be able to take Herald, to be able to use that pressure top to get something done. Whereas Zika kind of, he doesn't have to do anything, right? Like, you can just sit back and make sure you're not dying. And you have Scout farming up, you're going to have Gala farming up. This would be really interesting. We did see some kind of more niche counters to these here popping up in LCS. Xerath was one of the most popular. Veigar is one that we had heard talk of, but we didn't see a lot of it. Syndra has been pretty popular, pretty prevalent throughout this, and I do think it fits the style of their composition better. This feels much more kind of mid-gamey, very divey from the Cloud9 side, whereas LNG don't have to play that way. Yes, you can have Lee Sin as this aggressive pick, but now you have Lee Sin kick for disengage. You have Alistar knockback for disengage. You have Azir for disengage. You have Tristana Buster Shot for disengage, right? Like, very clearly, I think LNG will play this to kite back. Sure, if there's a great opportunity, they can dive in and they can try to one-shot someone, but they don't have to, and I think that's kind of the beauty of their draft. I really like what they have drafted, even nameplates off much more than what Cloud9 have done. And I think when you turn nameplates on, that becomes even scarier because LNG is such a stable team. They're not always one of those LPL teams that's drawn into the chaos.
Exactly.
And I think that Cloud9's draft really kind of needs that chaotic energy. They need to be scrapping, especially on that top side. When you're looking at, Renekton and Sejuani, you want to be making things happen. I just don't know if LNG is going to bite.
But for C9, I mean, that's the frustrating part, isn't it? Again, it's taken some of the best teams to really beat down LNG. JDG with their strong lanes, their great mid-game team fighting, and they're just best all-round team fighting in the world as well. That's what's beaten LNG in a Game 5 in the Grand Finals of the LPL. But for LNG specifically, it was yesterday against Fnatic that I want to highlight this matchup in the top side where Zika absorbed the pressure from Oscarina and Razork, and nothing came through. They were punished, they were slapped down, the game fell down from there as well. And it feels like that top side, I mean, Zika's all too familiar with absorbing pressure and being able to play flexible around his jungle too.
Absolutely, and we saw Tarzan, absolutely run over Razork in that match, got way ahead, and then Scout was dominating in mid lane, and it became so much about that duo, moving around, being aggressive, making things happen, not necessarily looking for anything crazy, but constantly advancing the state of the game, putting themselves in great spots. And I do think they have really drafted well to do a similar thing here against Cloud9. So we'll see if Cloud9 can really step it up. This is going to be a massive test for them. And if they can get this win, it is an upset, but it's possible. If they could get this win, they would be 2-0. And that would mean you are guaranteed 3 chances in best of 3s to advance. And that would really set themselves up well. So this is what Cloud9 really need to get done. The win against Mad was great, but this is the bar that they're going to set for themselves.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we get into this one, our second game of day 2 of Swiss. Day 2 at that. Remember to connect your League of Legends account to get the Prime Gaming emote, the exclusive experimentation emote. I called it extermination yesterday, but if you play Heimerdinger, it's exactly the same thing. Get it, spam it, use it as we welcome you back. And look, on the note of C9, I will say it'd be a very C9 thing to do to create an upset here, to have a really good chance of getting into that top 8. Sitting on BO3s for a while and giving themselves the best chance would be amazing for the history of this organization. Who else but C9 to do it?
It would be huge if they're able to get it done. And we can see that deep ward thrown down there by Zika on top side. So wants to be able to cover and track where Blabber is going to be pathing. He knows that there's likely to be pressure up towards top side, especially because it is going to be a leash start on bot. So, Zika is going to have to play around those level 3 timings, those level 4 timings that could potentially come up towards top side. And we'll see what Fudge can get done. He missed his Q, so now Zika's just going to step forward and take this quick trade. As level 1 for Jax in this matchup, obviously, really strong for the Jax. And this is such a good Merc Treads game as well for LNG. There's so much CC over on the other side. I think we're going to see a lot of Merc Tread rushes. We have the cleanse on Gala, and I also already talked about how much peel and disengage they have, which is all going to serve them, I think, incredibly well.
I mean, it's going to be frustrating. It's along the narrative lines of LNG. They're a frustrating team to verse. Because, again, they pincer you, they slow bleed, and they're also just great at saying no. This is when we're going to take the play. So a team composition like this fits into their wheelhouse, while at least in the early game, C9, their wheelhouse is pushing them out, getting the aggro down, hitting level 2 first here. So Hung and Gala have to pay respect.
Yep, Gala losing a bit of HP there. Wanted to step up. He was trying to get an experience range, not even to farm, but did get tagged by both the Q from Berserker and the W, as well as the Q from Sven. So lost a good 30-40% of his health. Didn't have to actually pop that potion yet, though, so not that big of a deal. And, you know, it has been a spotted Sejuani over by this blue buff. That ward that Zika put down is going to spot him. Zika has the full shove, so he's just going to bounce the wave, and he's just going to take an early reset, so deny any possibility of that gank timer. I really do love it in these kind of matchups. If you can get that early push, as you sometimes can as this Jax, it just avoids this level 3 timing where you're going to be vulnerable.
Plus extra stats, Ruby Crystal picked up as well, so it's going to help with some of the trades that Fudge is going to try and burst. Yeah, again, for Zika as well, with that great timing, might actually sync up for Tarzan to pull some lane presence here on the Lee Sin. We're talking about this in draft. Tarzan's Lee Sin, really like no other. He's got many highlights in the LPL already since he joined in, and especially syncing up with Scout like he did yesterday. There's such huge damage potential, especially at that level 6.
Yeah. It can be an absolute bounce house, right? You know, you get swept back by the Azir, kicked even further back by the Lee Sin. There are a lot of potential combos here that they can go for, but Blabber has stayed around on this top side, and Zika has walked back to lane. He did hold on to his TP. That's critical.
Nice Scout of the week. Here's Sven with the roam. Hang on, Scout caught out. Ignite. They're hitting the strong point of LNG straight off the bat. That's a summoner down. Scout's going to have to base the TP back in.
Really good roam from Sven. This is a guy who has gotten so much criticism for his engaged supports, but has grinded nonstop throughout his entire career, both as an AD and a support. He's always been a grinder, works hard nonstop, and really has been putting in that work to get up to par for the international level on these engaged supports, and makes a good early roam here, having an impact on that early matchup. That's step number 1.
Priority here for M&S. I mean, look at the CS lead already building up. The Scout has had to teleport back to lane. Hitting the strong point of LNG. I love the strat so early on from Cloud9 when you said they had to be a bit brawly, a little bit bruisery here and get into the thick of the weeds. I think that's the perfect start for Cloud9 to open up this game.
Absolutely. And I think for a lot of people, if you're not someone who watches LCS all the time, I think people still have this kind of opinion, this thought of Blabber, that he's this hyper-aggressive guy and that he's kind of coin-flippy and he does this sort of style. But really, Blabber is much more farm-oriented. He's a guy that, to me, just exemplifies efficiency in the jungle more than anyone else in our league. He's all about, you know, finding these gank timings, but prioritizing farm and not spending a lot of time to do it. And when you talk to pros that play against him, they always have this feeling that Blabber is there, even though he is the most heavy farming jungler in our league, which really speaks to the fact that when he is there, it's at the right time. It's when he really needs to be. And it kind of gets in people's head to the point where they don't feel that they can play the game they want to, because it feels like he's always going to be there if you go aggressive.
Which is so funny in this game, because I feel like you could say the same thing about Tarzan. Like, Tarzan prioritizes farm, he farms efficiently, but yeah, you always feel like he's there. A lot of the time he is, because he loves hanging around Scout. The proximity between the two always high, but just hilarious to see as we pause to digress and chill out a little bit on the Cloud9 opening start. Now, I will also say Hung is still in lane for the time being. That's also a little bit rare, as people don't know.
What is happening?
On likes to sync up with Shun over on BLG all the time, abandons Elk. Hung's not as aggressive, but that dude is rarely in lane too.
He is just kind of a bit of a madman. This is a guy who likes to go for the really spicy plays, the really aggressive plays. You know, he's not afraid to really put his life on the line to make a play happen for the team. And I think that's one of the things that really stands out about him to me, and that really makes him fun to watch. And LNG is just kind of so well-rounded, you know, not even just through, you know, player skill, but also through player play style, right? You know, Scout is kind of really stable. You talk about the stability of Tarzan. You know, Hong is kind of this guy that's kind of that spark plug that is going to make crazy things happen for them. And it always feels like so much of the action is around mid lane, is around top lane, and it's often Gala that's just kind of quietly farming up, may not be involved in the game, and then you realize, oh God, like Gala has 400 CS,
strong,
and how do we win this team fight now, guys?
But it's good. I mean, in this matchup as well, I keep drawing parallels. And another one I'll draw is Berserker, right? I feel like Berserker, this reliable AD carry. I can't remember the game as well, but it's a Siffer game I remember, at least in playoffs or at least in recent memory. Berserker, this reliable AD carry, just farming up, gets to the point where he's fighting and he's huge. Hell, even yesterday as well, on the Zyra it was, he was the reliable AD carry for C9 that really took over Mad.
It really is. It's one of the things that he's very well known for. It's interesting because damage percent-wise, he really doesn't have like a huge percentage of the team's damage because they have a lot of players that, do like to play that carry style, that do like to play aggressive. And often it is more that farming role that Berserker plays for. But in the LCS, he has this reputation. It was really funny. We had a lot of players come on and cast with us. And one of the games we had Huhi come on, obviously from Golden Guardians, to cast with us. And he was talking about, I was asking him, what is it that's difficult about playing against Cloud9's bot lane? What is it that makes them so frustrating to play against? And he said, well, the problem is if you ever start a team fight around Berserker, he's going to get a random triple kill and then you lose the game. And then not 30 seconds later, a team fight broke out, he gets a triple kill and you're like, oh! So it is kind of that thing that he's known for, is really success in the team fights. Sven and Berserker are less known as a dominant lane.
Yeah. Just a quick update for everyone out there. We have had FPS drops on C9's side. Officials are investigating, excuse me. So while we get that sorted out, we are in a pause. But to run through again, maybe we've been waiting for this one just simply because, not just because we're waiting for the 1-0s to start, but naturally because, LNG yesterday were looking pretty clean, bar one play. I think C9 versus Mad was one of the cleanest games we had yesterday. Yeah. Mad had this inability to be proactive, but I think it was showing to C9, kind of running the map and running over them, that Mad didn't really have many options.
And, when people talk about, the team didn't do anything and they just lost, it's often not because they didn't try to do anything, but it's because everything they look for, their opponents are going to be able to answer, right? Yep. And it often feels like that when our teams play against the best LCK and LPL teams. It's like, well, why didn't they do anything?
Sure.
Well, everything you looked for, they were ready for and they answered, right? So it's always, one part inactivity, one part, reactivity from the other team. And I think, Cloud9 deserves credit for that. And a lot of the other teams that looked really solid yesterday, LNG included, definitely deserve credit for that as well, for being able to answer. So we got the ready checks. Seems to be good in game now, and we will move forward. A pretty big CS lead opening up in bot lane, but the wave is pushing into Gala, so we'll see how much this he can pick up. Likely nearly all of it knowing Gala, as he is a CS monster.
But at least some of it, at the very least, you can highlight through those early tradings, hitting level 2 from Berserker and Sven. They were able to lock down a bit of an advantage in this lane. We also remember that through mid, if you are just checking back in with us, it's Scout lost both summoners. One to return back after the heavy trade, one for the flash that was burnt by Sven's early roam to only trade the ignite from him. So C9 with a small early advantage. Let's see if they can punish some of those summoners as we start getting towards the level 6s. And even the Tarzan start on Dragon Ball. Blabber has decided to do the core JJ for this game at least. This time he's on a ward.
Yeah, is spotted out, waiting for the top side scuttle. He's just been cycling his camps. He wants to push heavily towards 6 and play towards this top side. Fudge is 6. And Blabber is up here. Zika needs to play safe because he knows Blabber's in the area, and they're getting Dragon for free on bot side, so we'll see. Blabber spotted again.
But is that trade too big? With Dominus, maybe not. The wave pushing in, but it's thinned out. Zika still playing dangerously, and Sven is also going to be spotted on this control ward, but Dragon, as early as you'd like on a Lee Sin, taken by Tarzan.
Yeah, nicely done there. And Fudge now, because he took that bad trade, unfortunately Blabber had to stay around and actually cover him on the push-in.
Yep.
Because he did get chunked down so low. If he left, there's always the potential that he does get all in. But LNG really winning out on these last couple of plays. They take the Dragon, they push in, they get a plate on bot side. A nice trade from Zika, plus the wards on Blabber dissuade any sort of action on top side. And we'll see, though, can Blabber now make something happen? There's a slight window before Scout has his flashback, where Blabber is now 6. But he would have to rush straight towards mid, and Scout is just based and got Merc Tread, so he's playing around that timing.
Yeah.
By the time he's in danger, the Flash is going to be back, and he's going to be sitting pretty.
Teleport almost up there as well, so any punish that comes through, Scout should be fine. They left this Azir pick open, and I'm going to be questioning throughout this game, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's a mistake or not. It was yesterday, the 11-0 and 7. You heard me say before. It was on the Jace matchup, Azale. It was a little bit different, but again, it's one of Scout's best champions historically.
Yeah, it's so hard though, man, when you're playing against a player like Scout.
He's got 18 of them.
Yeah, almost anything he gets looks good. It's like, oh, he got that Azir, I don't know. Oh, he got a Cinder, oh, he got that Orianna, I'm not sure. It's just everything you give them seems like a bad thing to give them.
Yeah, it's hard to win, honestly.
Yeah, turns out he's just good at the game.
At the very least, look, Evanescence, something that has a bit more priority in lane. We're just still waiting to see how it gets punished up as LNG playing deep and nitty-gritty in this bottom lane. Hung and Tarzan already syncing up. It might still be in the bottom side, but starting to move together while Gala slowly pushes this wave.
And you can see Blabber is heading out towards bot because he knows he needs to cover this crashing wave here. Will they look for an engage is the question, as Tarzan trying to pick up a lot of this. Blabber's heading there, but not going to be here in time for any sort of a fight to break out, but that's another plate going over to Gala because Cloud9 can't step up to the wave or they have Alistar and Lee Sin behind them, and it's probably a pretty easy kill to actually execute. So just slight advantages being eked out there by LNG. You know, it was a little bit of an edge. They're going to go for Syndra.
Emperor's Divide, the glide, and see you later. The kickback with the Sonic Wave doesn't connect. It slows down the play, but Scout with his range again. Oh no, first blood to the man in the mid lane for LNG is a big plus.
Nicely done, and this is always the worry in this matchup. Azir versus Syndra. Syndra can have that proactivity in the early lane, but as soon as you get to 6, you can swoop in for that Azir ult. Even if you don't get the kill, if you get the flash, you can return and get that kill again. But this time, they get the kill with just the flash from Tarzan, and that's going to mean as soon as kick is back up for Tarzan, Scout could look for a flash ulti, and they could get an almost guaranteed kill there on MNS. So great job by LNG. Now going to be able to get a plate here in mid lane as well, and they're opening up a slight lead for the first time in this game.
Yeah, 10 CS, that kill as well for Scout. We'll see what it nets with the start of a Nash's Tooth there in his inventory, but this is how the game against Fnatic started. With Scout getting a lead, it doesn't stop at 1, it goes to 2, 3 very quickly.
Yeah.
And so C9 need to keep a cap on that lid.
And while LNG aren't the craziest team, one of the things that they do so well is punish mistakes, punish missing cooldowns from their opponents. And,
exactly.
You know, I think that's something they did incredibly well against Fnatic, as you're saying. And now, if I'm MNS, I am really sweating for this next couple of minutes when you're playing with no flash against an Azir that has flash, has ulti. And Scout just sets it up really, really well. Tarzan coming in, no hesitation. He tries to get the scatter not able to keep him safe. The Q misses from Tarzan, but honestly, it didn't matter. No one was going to get there in time. He was always going to die. And at the end of the day, the kill going over to Scout is just that much better.
They're the best mid-jungle duo of the LPL as once again, Tarzan into action onto Fudge. While spotting him out, dropping a ward as he makes his exit. Should be close to an item for Tarzan as well here after his participation through the mid lane. Gore Drinker now picked up. And he's the first one of LNG to do so, as Blabber the same too. And it has just been a nice start for LNG, despite what we saw mid with the flash burned out from Scout before.
Yeah, I mean, Zika is just playing this lane out so well. They've known that there was going to be pressure up towards topside. You know, that is the problem with going with such an obvious draft like Cloud9 has.
Yep.
So they just constantly kept wards up towards that top side. You know, Zika put the level 1 ward over by the blue buff. Then they had, I believe, a ward from Tarzan that was placed over in Pixel that spotted him out. They have the defensive wards in Tribush that's going to spot him out. They just always kept eyes on it. And Sven getting kind of disrespectful here. Has to be a bit careful.
Flash available. Tarzan doesn't get the Sonic Wave this time either, as the quickness gets the movement speed for Sven to escape. Almost caught out, almost a kill for Gala, but at least negating that fact.
Yeah, so Zika's just been able to kind of wax on, wax off, stay alive. And
exactly.
He's chilling, right? Like, this is a matchup that you're going to be feeling better and better about. The Fudge looking to get aggressive. He has the Mythic completed. Doesn't want Zika to base, but not going to be able to stop him. He may earn himself a plate with that denial of the base right there, but Zika is deciding to stay around, and it's going to have to be Sven running out towards bot as, again, Berserker's getting zoned off. You know, he is still slightly up in CS, but he's going to be zoned off another wave as Sven was forced to use his ulti and retreat on mid lane.
Trying to turn into a dive. Dominus is there. 1 versus 2. Zika is going to pop the ulti. The Counter-Strike now run out. He's out of mana as well. Permafrost laid with the own ulti. Well done by C9, but the problem is the bottom side. As LNG fail the dive, they get turret plating out of it, but C9 getting topside is some relief.
Yeah, that is really good that they're able to execute on this kill because they're going to get the full tower. Yeah. That is a big deal to get that kill. Berserker barely survives on bot side. LNG has been pressuring heavily through bot. MNS did get down there to cover, which is good, but it does mean he's going to be losing farm. Scout pushes in, takes another plate. So more and more plates have been going the way of LNG, but it's a slight lead for Cloud9. And they're looking really very even with LNG through 13 minutes. So credit to them. This is a very, very competitive game.
I mean, again, C9, we talked about coming in. This is a historic organization that does so well under pressure. As we look at topside as this 1v2, they wait for Zika's cooldowns.
Yep, exactly. They force out the Counter-Strike with him going in, and then wait for that Permafrost passive to be stacked up. That means no way to miss the ulti from Sejuani. That's guaranteed, so they get the kill. Then here on bot side, MNS on the roam, he's really kind of the hero of this one. You can see them going in for this dive, but the Kai'Sa ulti plus the double shielding there from Sven creates the space, and with MNS arriving, LNG knew, okay, we gotta back it up or this could become a disaster really fast.
And with the health going on to LNG as well means the turret dive or at least the turret push can't be traded, so it is first turret blood as you well highlighted Azale that goes to C9, moves to almost a 1k gold lead, but taking care of the other part of the map state, which is objectives, LNG have moved us to an Infernal Soul. They're on their third dragon coming up, if they can at least take it. So the objective game is being played down towards that bottom side.
Absolutely. And now it's going to be about, can you actually transition this advantage that you've created for Fudge around the map? Can you use that to take more objectives? Can you use that to go and contest this next dragon and stop that? Because that is going to be the issue here now for Cloud9. They have Fudge in a position where he could potentially succeed. But again, he's going to have to deal with so much disengage. And I think that is one of the most difficult parts about this whole composition for Cloud9 is that, when you have these kind of binary champions that just have to go in and try to get in on these carries, where you have Rocket Jump, you have the Shreem and Shuffle, you have the ability to actually create so much space with the Buster Shot and all these different cooldowns, it's going to be tough for Fudge to get in there. So everyone from Cloud9 is going to have to be on the same point. You can't kind of go in, one at a time. It's got to be everyone going in at once. Rakan goes in, Sejuani ult lands, Fudge is landing, the ult and the scatter from M&S, everything kind of has to hit at the same time, or it's going to be so easy for LNG to peel and cut it out.
At least thanks to that Mustcard lane economy snapshot, we can see that Fudge is going to have the gold to play with, 1,500 over Zika, by the way, if you missed that. Gold Drinker with the Kindle Gem already picked up, but I like the analysis of the composition. You talked a lot about it in draft as well. We've mentioned comfort quite a lot for LNG, but again, the fact that everyone's got to disengage, everyone's got a jump button at least as well. Let's see another one in action. Flush away from Zen, great timing. He's good on the fingers today, but will mean they lose out on the mid turret with that burnt down.
Yeah, and honestly, this is just such a win for LNG. Cloud9 go to take Herald. Herald gives you the opportunity to get a tower, right? And while you're getting that, they take the mid tower, they take the bot tower, they get the flash off Sven. It's just such a bigger win for LNG. You can really see they're very adept at how they play the map. I think they're going to feel so confident as this game gets later and later and later with the Azir interest on it, two of the safest hyper carries in the game.
Oh, yeah.
So it is going to be difficult for Cloud9, and LNG, again, are just refusing to fight where Cloud9 is strong, right? I think Cloud9 was really hoping, hey, come and fight us at the Herald. Hey, come over here. We're going to scrap. But they're not willing to do it. They're just going to say, no, you can take that. We're going to go 4 mid. We'll send 1 bot. We'll take global objectives. We'll take gold off the map. And we'll wait till we're ready.
They're just chilling. I mean, again, the wave clear massive. And Gala just doing what Gala does every single game, which is farm up, push waves out, back off, get another item. And he's close to getting his second as we do a bit of a check in there as well. Just a quick note. Gala up 10 CS, but almost up 2 items because of all the plating he got in the bottom side. Another quite achieving game where Berserker wasn't able to get that same luxury on the enemy turret himself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that Berserker and Sven honestly played really well in the 2v2, but LNG played heavily around bot. Tarzan did a great job getting down there. We constantly saw Tarzan and Hong, just threatening the dive, right? Wrapping around behind, and always it felt like when we pan down, you're seeing Berserker walk back, walk away from the turret, give up plates, give up farm. That was the position that he was in, and LNG just orchestrated that so well. They're saying, sure, you can put pressure on top side, but you're not going to get a lot of kills on Zika, and we're just going to guarantee farm, we're going to guarantee advantages on our carries, we're going to play around mid, we're going to play around bot, stack objectives, and then when we're ready to fight, you're going to be forced to come 5v5 because you're going to have to worry about the soul.
And that's why for LNG, I use that classic word macro. Great macro team, best one in the LPL to a degree. Start comparing them and JDG as Hung looks for an engage. Because Dragon's coming up in 40 seconds, and again, there's the setup. We talk more about it. Look at the vision line as well. Scouts in again. He tries to get Sven scared.
Yeah, I think that was maybe one of those things where he's hoping that he's going to panic ult and try to use some sort of cooldown and retreat and say, oh god, I'm about to get swept in. But he obviously wants to hold on to it. He wants to have that ultimate for this fight. C9 are ready, though. Here's the TPs.
Scout ulties out of a panic. He flashes away as well. He's over. This is good for C9 because here comes Chocolate Fudge right into the mix as Zika starts spinning, but he flashes as well. LNG are panicking, and C9 have them on the rope.
That was such a fast double TP from Fudge and M&S. They get 3 flashes from the top side. They're going to give it up completely. They realize, that went way too bad. We will get smoked if we actually fight this. But again, let's play the map. I'm going to TP the top side. You double TP down a dragon. Guess what? I'm going to take your tier 1 for free. You get the dragon, but it is going to be C9 taking that, dropping Herald on bot side. So they want to try to see if they can push for 2, try to get a second charge, but Tarzan lying in wait. Hung is moving out of the map here, so there's 4 from LNG.
Oh, Scout of the Week was used, Sonic Wave connects, but Herald going to be stopped in its path. Tarzan can't follow up any further. The Scout will stay top to open up this turret as well, but C9, again, with great reaction. I think it's something we talked about backstage. It was definitely in terms of blabber, but I think C9's reactions in the Mad game yesterday, even today here against LNG, have been quite adept, been quite significant.
I think that's 2 days in a row for both these teams. They've been really good at responding to what their opponents are doing, shutting down what their opponents are trying to enforce on the map here. LNG, again, they're not overcommitting to that fight. They realize, nope, this started bad. We're out of here. We'll take a tower. You want to fight as a Herald? Nope, we'll take your mid lane tier 1, right? They're always making sure that they're in the right spot. This was great, though, from C9. LNG were trying to move down to actually collapse on Berserker, but Blabber was in the area, Sven was in the area, they were covering that play, and the instant double DP from MNS and Fudge meant that LNG just did not have the angle to fight. There was no way they could actually push through that corridor onto Berserker. They would have got destroyed.
Yeah.
So they immediately bail out. Yes, they have to spend some summoners, but we've seen that hasn't been a problem for them before because they're so patient at just waiting and playing safely until their flash comes back up. And I think we're going to see Scout do the exact same thing. I mean, look at him on top side. He's not even walking up to the wave. He's being very careful, very respectful. He says, that wave's coming to me. I'll wait back here. I'll wait over by Krugs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk up and die.
No, again, not overstepping. It's in Scout's nature. I think from yesterday we saw it. Not a single death on the man as well. Hard to kill, hard to capitalize on. Another matchup that's being focused down there is, of course, Gala versus Berserker, who are just farming away to. Kraken picked up. We ain't getting Berserker with the Umbral build, and that's something, we haven't seen as much so far in Swiss. We haven't seen the Umbral build as much popping up, being the Navori quick blades coming through, being a lot more about the on-hit.
Absolutely, and I think if there is going to be, a lot of kind of more frontline, people that you can't necessarily just one-shot at burst down, I do tend to think that the on-hit can work really, really well. Yep. So, going in towards that Navori, very standard stuff. Kaisa obviously has been cycling through a lot of different builds, and you do see the full kind of early lethality build for that super early spike. This is, much more of a scaling style of build. There's a lot of different directions you can go, but I tend to think that they are going to need that consistent damage here from Berserker, and that's why he's going for this. We'll give you the update as soon as we know what the pause is. Earlier we had that pause. Obviously it was some FPS issues that you were reporting, Hysterics, of 4C9 on stage. So if it is that again, we will let you know as soon as we do find out. But some big item completions are coming through. Fudge completed that Shojin, so his second item has come through. We saw a second item just come in as well for Blabber. He's got the Knight's Vow now, and over on the other side, Scout has his Nashers on top of that Leandry, so this is not that kind of vegan build that people like to call it, where they're going Banshees and they're going Crown and they're going defensive. Scout is max DPS here, so if they create space for him, he's going to be eating good.
Yeah, definitely tonight. I mean, again, already that second item is significant, right? Scout in a good spot. It was that first blood that set him up for success. But I guess the difference between yesterday against Fnatic versus today is Cloud9 have not really slipped up anymore. It was a double TP down bottom side that was really quick to the trigger, but they haven't really misstepped. They've made that mistake, and okay, MNS started playing a little bit safer towards mid, not giving more opportunities over to Scout.
Yeah, absolutely. Cloud9 has been, playing, I think, a pretty conservative game. Both teams clearly filling each other out. From all the rumors, they have been very competitive scrims. So, these two teams obviously showing some respect towards each other. And I think Cloud9, more so feeling a little bit of pressure to try to get things done in the earlier stages. LNG more comfortable to sit back, and they're only going to fight on their own terms. So we'll see when that is. Generally when you think about hyper carries, when you think about late game, to me, that kind of arrives at 3 items, right? Yep. And so it may be that LNG will just continue playing around that. If Cloud9 makes any mistakes, they'll obviously look to capitalize, but they don't need to really force anything. And Cloud9 has also bought themselves some time by taking this third dragon because they're not really feeling pressured for a soul coming up. So it's honestly a very, very even game. Again, if I could choose which team to be playing at this point in the game, I would rather have LNG's champions.
Of course.
But I don't think it's cut and dry, 100 to 0 type.
Outscale, no.
No, I don't think you just win for free or anything like that. It's going to be down to the execution, and Cloud9 are going to have their opportunities.
And I think with, again, engage options of their own right, we've already seen Blabber's been really on point in trying to match Tarzan here in this game, or at least setting up Fudge, I should say, which is more specific. Sven, that gank mid, was really proactive against a team like LNG that does, as you were saying, want to sit back a bit. I think, again, so many options for C9. It is great to talk about here. And ultimately, Fudge, just quickly on this note, not in a bad spot either. Matching CS against Zika is a big deal. 2 items as well there's also something we should note that this Renekton is going to be quite powerful running into the next fight.
So tournament officials are now reporting Sven was having some issues with his peripherals, some keyboard issues. So they're trying to get that all solved out. We could see on screen one of the referees was talking to Sven. I've seen the players typing ready checks in chat, so I presume that we will get the official ready checks. We will be probably going back into it pretty quickly, but both teams have called ready, and we are seeing that it's unpausing now as I'm in game, so we'll be right back to it here.
It's okay, guys. You needed that breather anyway. Go to the bathroom and come back promptly. It's only game 2. This is what I love about the new format. Having the 8-game day in Swiss with the new format going full out is fantastic. Welcome back into the game. LNG, okay.
Oh.
There you go. Now you have more time. Go and sort yourself out. You know what? I will say, in this downtime, the food here is OP. Like, you know, I'm talking like a Felios on release OP.
Oh, God.
It's great. And the crazy thing about Korea is just you walk around in a street and there's about 20 restaurants. You don't know where you are. You don't know where you've stumbled upon. But all of a sudden, man, the
Throw
options.
a rock, hit some good food.
That's right. Every single time. I mean, you know, there's a mall near us that's got about 160 restaurants or something in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I did just get an update.
Please.
Sven again having the continued issues even after the unpause and pause.
Yep.
So they are going to be changing out his keyboard. So they're going to have to get a new peripheral for him.
Okay.
The issues are persisting, unfortunately. Obviously, you know, not the ideal situation for anyone. It can be frustrating for both teams. You know, have to sit in that pause. But obviously, very important that these things are working properly. You know, you can't be playing a game. Your whole year is leading up to this point, and it is just so important that you are comfortable that everything is working properly.
I mean, more to the point, right? We talked about the potential upset today that could lead to the 2-0 for either of these teams. I mean, obviously with LNG coming in favorites, it's an LPL team. People might not rate North America as highly. I mean, I know they don't. Sometimes is it wrong?
No.
No. No.
I was like, where's he going with this? This is very generous
I was trying to be
you.
optimistic, and I'm like, you know, I don't want to be a phony. I don't want to be a fraud, okay?
I mean, how many international titles has LPL won? Yeah, a few.
A few.
But how many LCS titles has the LPL won?
None.
There you go.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And also,
Cloud9 has won a lot.
I'll always remember MSI, Team Liquid, semifinals versus IG.
Yeah,
that was
took 'em
heartbreaking
down.
for me, but man.
And then that was the end of the tournament.
And then
nothing else happened after that.
Well, that's right. I mean, they won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They won. They beat the world champions IG, and then Team Liquid rode off into the sunset, and everyone clapped for them.
That's right. It was amazing.
That's what happened at the end of that tournament.
I just remember everyone on the desk, I think at that time, was like, oh, I think Team Liquid have a real chance. And then, was it G2? No.
No, I can't recall.
Yeah, okay, great.
Not sure what you're referring to.
Oh, I love it.
Similarly to Cloud9, you know, making it to World Semis, and then again, for some inexplicable reason, we just didn't play out the rest of the event.
Yep.
Got to semis, you know, big success. Everyone cheered, and that was the end of it.
I remember what was crazy is like IG at that tournament was disappointing for me, you know, because I was casting LPL. I'm like, man, this team could be the best ever. Won Worlds, lost to Team Liquid. And then they went to Worlds in 2019, and the FPX semifinal versus IG was nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can't remember who was on broadcast at the time, but
I wasn't casting that one, I don't think.
But
I've gotten to cast some really good LPL series over the years.
I know you have. I know. I've always been I've always commented on how much of the LPL story you know, how much you convey.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I didn't plan on this being, you know, an Azale pop-up session of a highlight, but it just happened. Vedius didn't get any of this yesterday.
I did plan on it. I bribed him.
Oh, did you? All right. But yeah, 2019 Worlds was sick. I mean, that's again why people are excited for, you know, the Shy coming back on a different roster naturally, because last time he was at Worlds and the World Championship year as well, he was absolutely gnarly.
Yeah. The Shy is just such a fun player to watch. I mean, I've been such a big fan of his since way back. You know, before the World Championship, I was still watching every single one of this guy's games because I was playing a lot of top lane at the time. And to me, he just like exemplifies that kind of insane top laner, that hyper-aggressive top laner that's so fun to watch. You know, whether it's going well, whether it's going poorly, the Shy is going to make the game interesting.
Always.
And that's one of those things that is really fun about him. You can see they're clearly still working through things on stage here with Sven. Hopefully will not be that much longer. But again, I mean, it's been a fun start to Worlds. I think for the Western fans, you always hope for those upsets because it makes the tournament unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is something that everyone can enjoy. You don't want it to be cut and dry where you're just like, well, this team beats that team, and then this team beats that team, and then it ends, right? You have to play out the games. There's always upsets every single year at Worlds, and that's what makes groups and now Swiss, to me, the most fun part of the entire event.
I mean, again, it's a highlight, but ladies and gentlemen, while we get through this pause, we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk to run us through what we know so far.
Yeah. Hopefully it's what you don't know.
I also love upsets.
I also too.
We can have
love
one right
upsets.
now, maybe.
We should. That would be fun, I guess, for you. You're right. Isaiah's always so positive-minded. You gotta be if you're from the LCS, I guess. Similarly for LEC,
I was gonna say, not always.
As of recent, are we happy with this game state, Kobe, for
Yeah,
Cloud9?
I think actually pretty happy. I was a little bit worried during the draft. Anytime you see them giving Scout Azir again, and the Jax going over to Zika, those are two really, really powerful champions for their solo laners. And we literally had a segment at the beginning of the day. Scout was the best performing player yesterday on Azir as well. So I was definitely a bit nervous, a bit scared. But they have played out the mid game pretty well to set themselves up with some good footing for a possible win.
I think that C9's game plan is very topside focused this game, where they try to get the Renekton ahead, try to play through the Renekton. Renekton Sejuani is a tried and true combo that we're very familiar, and that does mean that they play the weak side bot. The concern that you always have is that when you're hard committing in the draft to basically trade sides of the map, is that you then make sure you don't overcommit on one side, you're not making mistakes. And credit to C9, they're doing that very well. They were able to get the early Herald, they invest it towards top, they get a kill onto Zika. The game is very even. And while the Renekton does have a lot of gold, my question then comes to Kobe. Do you trust Fudge to be able to be a carry?
No, I don't trust Renekton.
You don't
It's
trust
not
Renekton?
about Fudge. I
Oh,
don't.
you had us in the first half.
Yeah.
And this is actually something 95% of Cloud9 fans will relate to. They don't trust Renekton.
They don't trust it.
Want to drop kick Renekton out of most of our drafts, usually, especially if it's against Jax towards the later stages. But as he said, a lot of attention has gone that way. The Herald went up there, Blabber went up there. They got the turret dive in exchange for bottom side, and they actually didn't lose anybody on the cross map play, even though they did let Zika get, or they did let Scout, I believe, push in an extra minion wave in mid lane and possibly get a turret plate there. So, you know, there are some things, but honestly, it feels good to be on pretty close footing even.
Yeah. I would say it's the best case scenario. Okay, or, being 10,000 gold ahead, that would be nice too. But my question, of course, is the lens of an Azir that is scaling and a Tristana that is scaling. Yesterday, just the Azir that we saw, you said it already, giving over that Azir would not be my preference. It still happened, and now you have this game state where I think LNG are feeling quite in their element.
Well, I mean, LNG are a slow team. Historics always talks about that, like, when you cast them, you kind of get a bit of a weird, I don't know what the word is, but it's so different to what he's used to casting because they are just a slower team. So I don't think they're out of comfort. And as you rightly said, they are comfortably scaling. They're a heavy investment towards bot side. Range is the big thing that they have going in their kind of with their composition is built around. Azir and Tristana is always a very terrifying front-to-back composition to have to play through. And this is where players like Fudge are going to need to be able to find flanks. Ven is going to have to play around Vision to be able to get onto that back line. That dive that this composition does have a lot of is going to be very difficult to execute, but if they find it, then it's going to work out well.
I would say, by the way, for now, too, this stage in the game, Sven has been playing quite well on the Rakan. The pincer from him and Blabber to burn 3 flashes off of Zika, Tarzan, and Scout, and then get the Dragon for themselves. We haven't seen yet the ramifications of all those flashes being blown, but that is a possible opening for them. Obviously, I'm very high on Hopium right now.
Copium.
No, I mean, I wouldn't even...
It's Hopium right now.
No,
Maybe it'll be Copium later.
No, is it called Cobium?
I thought my own brand,
yeah. I think it's fair to say that C9's macro has been fantastic. Like, I was one of those people that looking against the Mad game, I'm like, okay, you look better because Mad is heavily underperforming.
Oh, sorry. It's like Cap's dad.
Oh.
Fan favorite.
Yeah, fan favorite, of course. I felt like C9 looks better because Mad is underperforming. But now in a matchup against LNG, they're clearly proving that, no, that macro was not just a fluke. It wasn't just Mad underperforming. The macro's at a high level right now, and maybe you get uncomfortable when I start to sing the praises of C9.
Let's all do it.
Right now.
That's amazing. Wow. What could go wrong?
You're trying to do the interview meta where all of the mid laners and Eastern players are
They're
talking up our...
geniuses.
Yeah, Eminence looks like a genius to me.
If you would like some Cobium, I've got a special brand here. Talking about the scrims, LNG is actually one of the teams that not just Cloud9, but a couple of NA teams had winning ratios against. So I know that they actually at least came in with some good confidence.
The fake data coming out, I like it. Yeah.
You like some scrim data?
Okay, the tournament officials are assessing how this pause affects the game state currently.
Okay.
Oh, I don't
We're
know.
not going to read
That
into
sounds
it.
very ominous.
We're
but
not going to read into it. We're just going to say what we're told.
But the current TLDR and the current situation is both teams are very even.
Yeah.
A lot of the gold is sitting on Fudge, whereas for LNG, a lot of it is sitting on... Funnily enough, Scout, I thought that Gala... I mean, I don't remember the exact gold advantage, but I do know that Scout was quite far ahead just because they keep sending him off to catch those towers and those waves in a side lane. But ultimately, these fights is where it gets very scary for C9. So objective setup, the way that they actually approach these fights is going to be super important for them moving into the mid to late game.
Yes, and I wanted to bring something up in terms of LNG, you know. We say it often, I'm just going to say it again because I think it's great. LPL, most gruesome region to qualify for Worlds, out of. The playoffs, the gauntlet is, I think, is like the biggest eliminator in all of esports in LPL, and specifically LNG, they lost Game 5 of the finals. The next morning, in the same stadium, they had to qualify to Worlds. They did in the end because they're here to face EDG. And the key here is also, you know, in playing JDG and all those teams, you're team fighting all the time. You have to be on point. You have to take the 1% plays all the time. That is why I am getting a bit nervous. I don't want to be a glass half full kind of girly.
A lot of us came into this matchup nervous,
Yeah.
so welcome.
Okay, good. Welcome. And also, I don't have a horse in this race, but, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
I want to see a good game.
LNG are certainly favored here. I think one angle for Cloud9 is I'm hoping that we do get to see some big Kaisa plays from Berserker. Berserker is a huge star on Cloud9. He has basically the tournament favorite champion for AD carry right now in Kaisa. So many, you know, possible plays to be made here. And with Sven and Blabber currently playing quite well on the setup champions of Rakan and Sejuani, there's definitely a world, you know, where we make some picks, we make some plays. There are no flashes on the top side of LNG.
You don't need to, like, I love the way that you're just like, Vedius, I'm really trying to convince you here, and I'm just like, I agree. I think that the game state right now is very, like, it could go either way, is the way I see it. Like, yeah, the longer the game goes, there's a world where LNG can definitely make it harder, but we'll have to see.
Yes, I do have an update for you. The tournament officials have determined that the instance of the pause took place at a game-critical moment, and they're performing a chrono break to a dead ball state. So we have a little bit of time.
I wonder where that is. Yeah.
Same. I don't know if we can get the moment before the pause, perhaps, or I don't know if production wants to do that, but it's nice.
I wonder if it
see.
was during the top and bottom trade plays, where they had opposite side jungle dives for the top side. Cloud9, they had Berserker live. Meanwhile, they got the kill on top side, Rift Herald on top side. That's where they got the first tower and got that extra gold. That is also, though, where Scout got his extra minion wave in mid lane.
I honestly don't remember the point at which it paused. I remember the game state, and overall I was like pretty happy for both sides, but I have no idea.
We do have an interview in the bank yesterday. Lord talked to Tarzan, so maybe we can throw that at because that'll be good context for today as well.
And we're back here in the interview station with Tarzan after LNG won their first game here in the World Swiss stage. 안녕하세요. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been since 2021, I think, that we didn't see you. How much of a different player are you now?
우선은 승리 정말 축하드립니다. 2021 월즈에서 뵙고 이렇게 또 오랜만에 월즈 무대에서 뵙는 것 같은데요. 그 당시와 비교해 봤을 때 얼마나 다른 선수가 되었나요?
일단은 21년도보다 조금 더 성장한 것 같고 멘탈적으로나 조금 게임 보는 입장이나 그래서 조금 더 성장하지 않았나 싶습니다.
I want to say I grew a lot in terms of the game knowledge and also in terms of the mentality. So I've become a lot stronger in both aspects. So I want to say I've become a lot more mature.
That's amazing to hear, and you're the only remaining member of this iteration of LNG back then. You guys picked up Gala also for summer. Tell me more about LNG for the people who hadn't been following the LPL this year. What can we expect from you guys at Worlds?
그리고 그 당시 로스터에서 지금 현재 로스터에 남아있는 유일한 선수가 또 타전 선수이고 이번 이제 서머 시즌에 갈라 선수도 영입이 됐는데요. LPL을 챙겨보시지 않는 그런 분들을 위해서 LNG로부터 어떤 모습 기대해봐도 좋을지 한번 말씀 부탁드립니다.
일단은 간략하게 소개를 해드리면은 일단 탑은 즈카 일단은 굉장히 든든한 선수이고요. 정글 뭐 타자 말할 거 없고 미드 원딜도 말할 거 없이 든든한 딜러진이고 항 서포터도 굉장히 조금 힘이 넘치는 친구예요.
So I want to give you guys a brief introduction of my team. Top, solid, jungle, no need to mention. Mid AD carry, of course solid, and support. I want to say he's a strong player.
I love the confidence. What I love the most with having you at Worlds here, Tarzan, is the Griffin reunion that we're going to have once again with so many players of this 2019 roster being here at Worlds. Did you guys keep a good relationship with them? And which one in particular are you looking to face?
그리고 또 하나 말씀드려야 될 게 바로 이제 이번 월즈를 통해서 이루어지는 그 19년도 그리핀 선수들의 또 재결합 많은 분들이 기대하고 있는데 지금도 좋은 친분 유지하면서 잘 지내고 계신지 그리고 가장 기대되는 그런 매치업이 있다면 어디인가요?
일단은 전에 그리핀 선수들 만나면은 경기에서 만나면 되게 재미있을 것 같고 최대한 높은 데서 만났으면 좋겠고 그리고 어제 시간이 잠깐 돼가지고 이제 리엔즈 선수랑 초비 선수랑 같이 밥 한번 먹었어요.
Yeah, it would be really fun to have a matchup up against my former teammates from Griffin, and I wish it happens later in the stage. And yesterday I had some free time, so I had dinner with Chovy and Lehans.
Oh, the reunion. Indeed, thank you so much, Tarzan. 축하드립니다. 인터뷰 감사합니다. Jisun, thank you as well. And you guys, back to you.
Thank you, Laura from the past. Amazing. Dinner, eh? At least they didn't go swimming. Because in Europe, that leads to things.
That's code, yeah.
That's code. Maybe this is code. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't think so. We're hoping to get back into the game pretty quickly. Of course, I think we should be close, even though I had a music video behind us. You get out of that once we get back into the game. Don't worry about it. I think we've exhausted kind of our...
well, I'm hoping that we get an actual look at where the game is going back to. They said they're working on
getting it now.
Getting the exact point. So that's really interesting. Okay, so this is what led to it. And it seems very dead ball right now. So I'm assuming we'll just go back to whatever this is. Blabber just cleared a ward.
Whatever this is.
Great.
I mean, Baron's alive.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Okay. Come on, give us some insight. Cool.
The ball is dead. That's what the... Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So we'll just go back to before they jump on Blabber, I guess.
Yeah. Blabber's pretty dead, right?
I mean, it's only Lee Sin and Alistar there. Both solo laners are in their side lanes.
I'm kidding. We're not gonna pontificate about that.
But you know what?
The ball is looking pretty dead to me.
Yeah,
that looks like
ball.
That says Wani does not go down fast.
I've seen many alive balls in my time, and I can tell you right now that is not one of them.
I think it would be in our best interest if we move on from this terminology.
Where's medic? I mean, do we need a doctor over here? Can we pronounce this one alive or dead?
I don't know. I'm hoping we get back
I just realized what we've been saying.
Yeah, I know. But I'll let you guys go for a while. Any case, as I said, I think we've exhausted kind of our predictions because we know what the champions are. We know how they scale and what they do. All we can do is believe in C9, and maybe we can parlay this into a bigger, do we believe generally in C9? Are they emerging as kind of your NA frontrunner?
Emerging over the last
2 days.
8 years, I think, of international play of North America. So for sure, for Cloud9, we've come to become reliant on this team a lot of times. And I will say that once again, since they did actually have a lot of good scrim ratios versus LPL teams, they actually came in with a lot of confidence. And confidence, you're going to need that in these mid and late game team fight scenarios, which is where the game is won. Especially versus LNG.
I have skepticism around North America's ability to make good fights happen.
Just in general.
You said, actually, I remember yesterday you said in general.
Yeah, I
and
did.
you were like,
And
no,
vicious.
it's actually only one
Well,
or two
because
teams.
He's trying to paint our whole
I mean,
region.
I'm just
Yeah, with
because
one
I mean,
brush.
I watched the semifinals, I watched the finals, and I was I was disappointed in the fact that they
and
a lot
that's
of their fights.
it. We have to go to the
I'm
casters.
just
Vedius does
disappointed.
not like the LCS. Go ahead.
What? Why does this keep happening?
Poor Vedius. Sorry, buddy. Welcome back to the cast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, League officials have Chrono Break back to 2035.
Oh, they're on the Baron.
And we are back in. Thank you for your patience. C9 come back from the Chrono Break and hit the Baron.
Zika has no TP, and they saw him bot. They're
Starting with
engaged.
action. Scout with a 3-man, and he's dead.
Oh!
C9 come back, and all of a sudden, game goes bang.
Oh! Hog is knocked in the pit.
He's flashing out. Well, the Baron held on for now. LNG down a member, down their crucial member, and stuck in a 4v5 with Zika coming towards mid.
Oh, this is crazy. As Zika is moving up, they're going to try to go for it, but Tarzan, they got to get out. They got to
Flashes
finish.
in onto LNG. The kick away, disengages, but Baron still going down. LNG will lose out, and Cloud9 have the objective for North America.
Cloud9 decisive out of the pause there.
Woo!
That was madness. You know, we had to go back a couple seconds because from that dead ball state, there was a potential of a fight breaking out, but Cloud9 say, yeah, we're going to make a fight break out. You want to go to dead ball? We're going to make it happen. They engage over the wall onto Scout. The CC chain was great. Berserker in with the killer instinct. And then we're back here. Great blast going there from Blabber. Knocks Hong into the pit, and he has to flash straight out. So it's only up to Tarzan. And Fudge says, no way are we going to 50-50 this with it being such an important game. Tarzan wraps around, but they get the ward over the wall. They flash in on him. He kicks to disengage, but Sven is there. They're keeping him out. He just can't get in. That was beautifully done by Cloud9. Start to finish, the engage on Scout, the peel to deny Tarzan. That was perfect, and that explodes the game all of a sudden from what had felt like dead even, back and forth the whole time. We get action, and we get a clear advantage, and now Cloud9 potentially can move towards this next dragon as well. They can try to clear some turrets off the map. They can try to grab this second dragon. Let's see what they can get done.
After waiting so long, I feel like I'm going to need one of these Red Bull Baron power play. 1,500 for C9 to kick us off. And ladies and gentlemen, what a power move coming back into the game to experience that. Now, with an almost 2K gold lead, Zell is eluding 30 seconds till the dragon. Let's take stock of the game that we've come back into all of a sudden with 2 item AD carries, 2 item mid laners crucially. Scout with the TP to come in as they try and pick off Tarzan. He sonic waves in, looking for the kickback. Only finds Blabber, but not going too far until Scout boops him further. Flash away from Blabber as LNG try to converge around the turret. Blabber down the summoner, but a couple of big ultis now used for LNG before Drake.
Yeah, this is problematic though for Blabber because the dragon is spawning and he can't actually base. He has no time to do so. So we'll see. Can Cloud9 still get in there? He does have that Baron recall. Will they try to actually buy time? He's going to try to take the red and use that to heal up. They want to get that, but Gala is just starting the dragon. They're just trying to try force right now.
Out of the week, out of range. They're trying to get them into the pit.
They gotta
Blabber not going to be eluded in. LNG will move to Soul Point. While C9 with their Baron are going to open up mid.
Yeah, C9, really getting punished pretty heavily there. They wanted to go for this little chip play onto Tarzan, but the amount of displacement in this team is massive. What is Hong doing?
Hung, he's just jumping in.
He just killed himself.
Bursted out. Hung, okay, brother. How badly did he want to die as C9 get one off the back end?
The 6th member of Cloud9 goes in and gives him a freebie, apparently. That was bizarre. Maybe there was some sort of a miscommunication between him and the rest of the team, but that looked weird.
As they're trying to dive, Scout flashes away. Hang on, C9 to unleash. Gala free hitting for the time being, but not too much damage. Just the flashing from Tarzan, the kick. Zika gets a 3-man. C9 running up the turret in control, but LNG can never be discounted. From a deficit, they fire again and again.
They take everyone down. Berserker gets out, but it's in the 4v5. They find the angle coming from both sides. Tarzan from one side with a beautiful kick. The alley-oop for Zika. And he gets so much here. Devastating for Cloud9. They're pushing in. They're trying to look for these aggressive plays. Again, I'm just not sure what that was. He gives over the freebie, but it ends up not even mattering. You can see Fudge on the bottom of the screen was pushing them away. Blabber and Sven trying to look for this dive, but then watch Tarzan and Zika coming from both sides. Flash kick. The scatter was there in time, but it just didn't matter as the flash in from Zika. 3-man counter-strike. That's the Jax you know and love from the LPL.
The rookie top laner, underestimated, but so deserving of praise. his Jax needs to be banned away. And for many reasons, they've left it open as Berserker, also looking at part of the replay, got absolutely blasted with the shutdown going over to Gala.
That's brutal, and he loses both summoners off that as well. And now that means Cloud9, you know, they got the Baron. It amounted to nothing at all. They didn't get the Dragon with the Baron. They're now up against Soul, and Berserker just died and lost both summoners, so he won't have those summoners for this pivotal fight, for what could potentially be the fight that decides the game. You know, in a matter of minutes, this game has just gone back and forth so incredibly quickly. It went into the favor of Cloud9. They get the Baron. You think, okay, from here, you take the second Dragon, you clear some towers off the map, you create a big advantage, you stave off Soul, you're in a great spot. But all of a sudden, LNG get Dragon. They win the fight around mid. Berserker dies and loses sums, and now you're thinking, Cloud9, you're probably in a terrible spot for this next fight.
Scout threatening again, but that Baron power play by the end, it had to have been towards the negative mark.
It's got to be negative, for sure. And the fact that it's now 3 Dragons for LNG, the fact that Blabber, you know, him and Sven were kind of looking for this pokey play onto Tarzan, you know, previous to that, and he ended up having to flash out. He gets pushed out, so they couldn't challenge the Dragon. They lose the team fight in that 5v4. It's just beautiful flank from Tarzan and Zika at the same time, perfectly executed on that. You can never underestimate this team. LNG is just so good in these decisive moments. And now you're looking at the item completions. It's 3 items in for Gala. He's got the BT. That Zonia's is now coming for Scout. MNS is so far from his 3rd item. Berserker is closing in on his. But you're going to have to take this soul fight or the game could be over. And at the same time, you know, Baron's going to be up before that. There's possibilities of trying to trade Baron for that Dragon. You know, Cloud9, they have to fight it. LNG doesn't care. They could give up a Dragon if they can get a Baron from it or get something else from it, where Cloud9 has no options. They basically are forced to. So they may actually try to preempt this by just starting up a Baron again. I think they want to get the TP off Zika. I think there's potential for them to just start this on spawn and try to force the Jax to respond.
And again, for LNG, as they walk towards it, trying to get that TP, but might lose the base in the process. Zika. It's unrelenting. 2-item Jax as well, by the way. So turret damage going to be massive. Minions going to shred. And LNG have just grasped back the river somehow with 4 members.
Yep. Fudge had the base to answer, so Cloud9 were confident to actually take that 4v4. You know, Gall is pushing up mid. They get the tier 2 on bot. Cloud9 starting to really feel the heat here. The Baron is now live. LNG reclaims some vision around it. They are in their comfort zone now. They don't need to do anything except just wait for this Infernal, make sure that they have the setup for that Infernal. Where Cloud9, there's a lot of pressure on them now. They know that Sven is in this area, and if he oversteps, could be in danger.
Wonder if they can do anything with the information that Hung backed away. Looks like the timing's just not there, but Ward over the wall to spot them out as Sonic Wave connects, but again, just trying to threaten out C9.
So many big purchases have now come through. Zonia's done for Zika. Zonia's done for Scout. You can see now the 3rd item done for Blabber as well. He grabs the Abyssal. We have a 3rd item in for Fudge there with the Black Lever. So everyone's seeming to finish up those 3rd items. We'll see. Berserker has no time to go back, so he just bought a stopwatch, and so did MS. Here comes the TP. They're going to look for the deep flank.
It's a big one as well. Could be game-changing from Fudge. The factor there, but he needs to get in because Gala's jumping in on the sidelines. Berserker running through. The king of 80 carries in North America. Might take one down in China. Fudge helps out. Big shutdown. LNG lose a man, but trade one. And now Fudge targeted and Tarzan to finish the kill. Zika flashes, and the rookie from the LPL should not be given Jax ever again. Scout on the Azir follows that same train of thought. At C9, it looked so good until it wasn't.
Cloud9 try to go for the aggressive play here, but a little bit disjointed. Fudge comes on this super long flanking angle. They do get in the back line and take down Gala, but it took them way too long to kill Gala here. Fudge is coming, so they look for the engage over onto Blabber, but look at this coming over on the other side. They apply the plasma into the back line, get Berserker and Sven, but Gala just lives so long. It takes so much time to actually kill him off, and look at MNS, he's just not a part of the fight. MNS was so far away. There's so much movement with both the Kaisa and the Rakan. They can follow up on this. They can get in there on the back line, but Fudge was never really a part of the fight. MNS was never really a part of the fight, and that's the problem here. LNG just played it out so well. They kite back towards that top side. Now they have gotten the soul, and I think that's going to be all she wrote for this one. Cloud9 are still going to fight on, but within the matter of a couple minutes, it went from looking like Cloud9 had a real shot in this one to LNG just out-executing in back-to-back team fights, showcasing their prowess in these pivotal moments, now claiming the soul, now having a 5,000 lead. and they have all the cards.
You can't make a mistake against LNG. It's been said many times throughout the LPL year. But LNG specifically in those finals against JDG capitalized well. Here against Cloud9, the same again. The same against Fnatic yesterday in their early game. That's what makes LNG so dangerous. The Scout has to flash away, at least Blabber forcing out with the Glacial Prison. But the rest of LNG using the Baron buff and this hard push that's going to come from Gala to open up the base. Zika jumping in. I mean, Fudge has experience, but Zika has the LPL.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a lot of these champions now on Cloud9 have been well and truly outscaled. We've got level 18 Jax, working towards his 4th item. We got Scout working towards his death cap. He's level 17. M&S is 2 levels down, doesn't even have his 3rd item. He's so far behind. Berserker as well, way behind the curve here. Cloud9 just don't really have the damage, not even to mention the soul.
They're trying so hard to kill Zika. He just thinking about jumping back in. Makes it so hard again as he ends up doing exactly that.
Yeah, they just can't hurt him. I mean, you basically need Berserker there to kill anyone at this point.
And then what do you lose because of it?
Exactly, you lose everything.
Well, Infernal Soul to boot as well. He jumps up, but Berserker, that might be the last mistake you make here in this game. LNG moments away from being the first team to 2-0 here in the Swiss stage. To be on match point, as it were, to go to the best of 3s. Zika has teleport. He bases away, trying to engage onto LNG. As Sven had a great early game, but no longer onto Gala. Berserker at least trying his heart out as he buys some time. Tarzan with no Sonic Wave, but Scout still finds him on the back end. While C9 to pick apart the pieces eventually get Zika. But what is the cost? What is the charge? LNG still here strong as into the base. They're not stopping. They don't care. Ulti whiff. Scout dodges away. Blabber running for his life. It's a long haul here as Cloud9 look to keep them from thwarting their chances to move to safety. C9 getting bopped away though by Scout Azir, who gets 7 kills this time around. 18 kills in total in 2 days. Our MVP of the split continues to perform, and LNG move to match point.
LNG coming out on top, 2-0. They'll move into the best of 3s. As you said, they could be one of those first teams to advance from the Swiss stage. A really competitive back and forth game here. Cloud9 really looked good for a lot of it. Really did push LNG. Taking that early Baron from there, things were looking good, but I'm sure they really wish they could have everything after that back, because LNG in the 4v5 crushed them with the multi-prong attack when they try to siege the tier 2 mid. Then again, out team fight